Hi, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I have a fun video for everybody. We are going to make a bunch of yummy Valentine's treats. We're going to start with some chocolate bean donuts. Sounds interesting. I was skeptical at first, but they are so delicious. I can't wait for you to see how they turn out. We're also going to make some chocolate dipped strawberries, pretzels, etc., and make some yummy treats that way. And then the final thing we're going to do is for the more healthy conscious people who are trying to stick to their New Year's resolutions, we're going to make some energy balls. The ingredients for the chocolate bean donuts are 1 cup garbanzo beans rinsed and drained, half a cup of unsweetened almond milk. I'm going to use regular whole milk. You can use whatever you have on hand. 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, 2 tablespoons of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, half a teaspoon of salt, half a cup of sugar, 3/4 of a cup of melted chocolate chips, any kind that you want. I'm going to use dark chocolate today, 1 cup of flour, and then you'll also need some cooking spray or oil to grease your pan. For the glaze, you need half a cup of powdered sugar, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, melted, or coconut oil is fine, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a pinch of salt, 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk, and then you can optionally add food coloring or sprinkles, any kind of toppings like coconut, nuts, etc. Into my Hamilton Beach food processor, I'm going to add the garbanzo beans. I am going to double this recipe, so I'm using 2 cans. I'm going to add my milk, going to add our salt, our baking powder, and our baking soda, our apple cider vinegar, and our vanilla. Then you're going to blend this until it's smooth. And that's a good consistency right there. To melt your chocolate, you can put it in the microwave. Since I'm doubling, I did it for 1 minute and then stirred. I did check it at 30 seconds to make sure that it was not too much. Chocolate's very persnickety on those type of temperatures, so you have to be very careful to check it. You can't just walk away from it. After the minute, I took it in 10-second increments until it was the consistency that I wanted, really smooth and creamy, not too hard, but you'll scorch it if you go too long. So once you got it mostly melted, go very short increments and you'll do just fine. We're going to take our batter, the liquids, and put it in our bowl and add our flour and our chocolate. I'm going to spread out the oil into the cups of my donut pan. And then what we're going to do is pipe this into the pan that we're using. Using a Ziploc bag. You can use a piping bag if you have one handy, and then you cut off, if you're using the Ziploc, a corner. However big you want, you can start smaller if you are making smaller donuts so that you have very little dough that comes through. Roll over the top of the bag and spoon in your batter. And since it's rolled over, what you can do is scrape off the batter with the inside of the bag to make it a little less messy. So you're gonna lift your bag and start feeding the batter down toward the open end that you cut. I'm gonna mush down the batter to the bag so I can use as much of it as I can. Then you're going to kind of bring it together in your one hand and start twisting. And that will help to feed it down into your bag as you're pushing and squeezing the dough out. And you'll continually do this as you're feeding it through the bag so that it stays compacted in your bag to make it easier. Squeeze it with your hands into a circle and then twist, squeeze down, and repeat. Got some trapped in the corner here, so I'm unwinding it, mashing that down a little bit, and retuck that and twist. Okay, it looks like we have a partial donut here. I'm gonna bake it like that and use it as my taste test.
Nugget.
It's a dough nugget. Perfect. Ignore the shape. We're not doing anything with that. It's just bread. Now what we need to do is bake these in a preheated 350 degree oven for 10 minutes until they're done. You can do a toothpick test if you'd like to, but they'll be pretty easy to tell that they're done. While those are baking, let's go ahead and get started on our icing so it's ready to go while they're still warm. To our powdered sugar, we're going to add our melted butter. Again, I'm doubling this recipe, so I'm doing 6 tablespoons. Our vanilla, 2 pinches of salt, 5 tablespoons of milk here. If I need to, I can add a little bit more. With your icing, you don't want it to be too thick because you're going to be dunking your donut and then pulling it out and putting on a cooling rack, and you don't want your donut, which is a soft cake, to fall apart. So if it's too thick, it will kind of cling. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and add some more milk. This is where you would add your food coloring as well, a little bit at a time to get the right color that you're looking for. However, I'm going to use sprinkles and nuts and coconut, so I'm going to leave it. The timer's gone off, so let's pull out our donuts. All right, we'll let these sit and cool for a few minutes. We'll say 5. And then we'll start pulling them out to the cooling racks and start icing them once they've cooled off just a little bit. You don't want the icing to melt off of it, but you do want it to kind of coat it. So let's let them cool down a bit. We've let them cool down for a little bit now, so I'm going to take them out of the pan, and I'll show you how I do that, and put them onto a cookie sheet and take them to decorate. So all I do for this is I'm just barely holding, I gently twist it to make sure it's giving, and then lift if it gave and spun. Add it to my tray, and then repeat that process. I've set up a decorating station here. I've laid out some parchment paper to catch the dripping icing. Otherwise, you have to clean off your counter and scrape off any dried pieces, and I just prefer to clean it up this way. And that'll also kind of catch some of those sprinkles and things that we're going to sprinkle on top, and it just makes your job a little bit easier. And then I've got the 2 cooling racks with our donuts. Let's check our icing, see how it's doing. It can kind of firm up a little bit. I'm not liking how thick that is, so I'm going to add a little bit more milk. Icing's kind of like your bread making. It's subject to the humidity levels, so sometimes it just needs a little extra fluid. That looks nice. I'm gonna start with our taste test one to see how we did. There we go. And that's a perfect one to test it on, because if it messed up, it started breaking, it would let me know I needed to adjust my icing, but it did perfect. So let's ice the rest of them, and then we'll talk toppings. If you wanted to mix these up a little bit, you could add kind of a gingerbread mix to it, add some ginger and some cloves and cinnamon to the mix and make it more gingerbready. That would be delicious. You could even add some chocolate chips, small ones whole, inside the batter to make a little bit chunkier filling, maybe 1/4 cup for the whole batch. While this icing is still wet, we're going to add our toppings. We have 3 colors of sprinkles for Valentine's. I went in white, pink, and red. I chopped up some pecans to add on top of some. I got some little bitty semi-sweet mini chocolate chips. I've got some unsweetened coconut, and I've got some leftover toasted coconut. You can go one color, or you can mix them all together. Really just depends on what look you're going for. I was looking for kind of a medley, so I'm going to do all 3 on mine. You really can't see the white, but I knew it would add a little extra sparkle, almost like ice. All right, I'm gonna do the pecans on the next set. And you can do these all sprinkles for Valentine's Day. I just kind of wanted to mix it up and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It is all according to preference and what you have on hand, what you want to use up. For those who don't want toasted coconut, you can do regular. Some mini chocolate chips here. And there we have it. Our delicious donuts are all finished. We're gonna take this one as it is, just so we can make sure the flavors are on point. I'm gonna share it with my cameraman here. Let's see how we did. Oh, it's so good. It's got a nice chocolate flavor with that dark chocolate. It's not overly sweet. Very soft donut, perfectly baked. They're beautiful. I love this recipe. Hopefully you'll be inspired to try it and treat your loved ones for your Valentine's Day. Now that the donuts are all done, we've cleaned up the kitchen a bit and we're going to move on to some energy balls that I found a recipe for. They are called Valentine's Day Oatmeal Protein Energy Balls, and they call for 1.5 cups of gluten-free rolled oats, 1/2 cup of unsweetened peanut butter, and it says to avoid the old-fashioned kind, 4 tablespoons of local honey, 1 tablespoon of flax meal, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, 1/2 cup of Valentine's Day M&M candies, crushed and chopped. In the mixing bowl, it says to mix all the ingredients except for the M&Ms. We're going to save that for last. I'm going to go ahead and mix up my dry ingredients. Give it a bit of a stir. Now I'm going to drizzle in my honey. And our peanut butter will scoop in. I'm going to opt to leave my M&Ms whole, but you can feel free to go ahead and chop them up if you'd like. And we're just going to kind of use a spatula to incorporate the oats and seeds into the peanut butter and honey mix. If the mixture feels too dry after a while, you can add in a little bit more honey, a little bit more peanut butter, just to moisten it a little bit more. And really what I'm doing is I'm kind of folding it over and then mashing it down to smash the oats into the peanut butter and honey. I'll do the same thing. Fold and press, fold and press. Roll these into balls as best that you can. Put them on the cookie sheet, and then we're going to wind up refrigerating these for an hour to let them solidify more so, harden up that peanut butter and honey, and then they'll be ready to go. You can put them in a Ziploc baggie and pop them out whenever you need a snack. Nice little treat, and not be worrying about having too much sugar and such. A little bit dry, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more peanut butter to the mix, so hopefully it'll stick together better. That's feeling a lot better. See, I can actually roll it and it stays together instead of crumbling apart on me. I'm gonna pop these in the refrigerator for 1 hour. While those are chilling in the fridge, we're going to do the chocolate melting and cover our strawberries. We're gonna cover some marshmallows and some pretzel rods, put a few of the pecan pieces that we used for the donuts on some of the chocolate pieces for those who would like that. We have these boxes that are in a tray of dark chocolate, regular chocolate, and white chocolate coating that you melt in the microwave. If you don't have H-E-B, but you have Sam's Club, periodically I'll find these wafers, these little discs that you can melt. They melt really well. You dip whatever you want into there. I also found some Wilton pink candy coating that I'm going to be drizzling on top of the strawberries, etc., to give a little extra Valentine's pop. And our first tray of dark chocolate, which is what I'm going to coat all of mine with today, is melted. It's nice and smooth. There's no more chunks. So we're ready to get started on that. I've got a cookie sheet here lined with some parchment paper. I'm going to start with our marshmallows. And just dip it in about halfway, pull it up, let the excess kind of drip off. Bring your cookie sheet pretty close and lay it down. Like I said, I had some pecans here. Use any kind of nut that you want, but I already have these chopped up from earlier. You can take some, put it on your parchment paper, mash it in, and then let it dry. Gives people some options and changes up the flavor a little. You do want to work pretty quickly while it's still hot because it's going to get very difficult to work with once it hardens. You can remelt it a little bit if it hardens up too much, but you do want to be careful because of the scorching of chocolate. Now we're going to work on some strawberries. I've got these rinsed off. I'm going to leave the stems on because, as you can see, you can actually grab a hold of them. I'm going to lay some out on the paper towel to pat them dry. And then stick it in your chocolate, roll it over to get both sides. You can even do one side. Depends on what look you want. Let the chocolate drip off and lay it on your tray. Remembered I had some bananas and I want to try coating some bananas as well while we're at it. And to kind of make the process go a little bit neater, I'm going to cut them in half like this. And I have some popsicle sticks. I'm going to stick in about halfway-ish. Just kind of roll them in the chocolate. And then put some pecans on there. Pretzels. I'm going to kind of let it roll the chocolate to the side, roll it about halfway, and see if we can get it up a little bit higher. There we go, it's better. I'm laying them on the tray with the handles, the part you'll grab, toward the outside, so that as I drizzle, I can go across like this and get all of it without having to go over here and then over here. It'll make it more efficient for me because it's very difficult to control the drizzle once you get going. So you want to have it controlled as much as possible. 15 balls are done. It's been an hour and they're looking wonderful. You can tell they're harder. Now our next step to melt our drizzle chocolates. I'm going to start with the regular chocolate as our base coat and then add pink and white on top of that. To drizzle this, I'm gonna dip a fork in and get it coated, and then I just pull it along and make strings however many you want. You can go crisscross like this, and it just winds up looking beautiful. Go ahead and drizzle some of the marshmallows too. Can't go bad with that. Now the tray that had the grapes on it and the bananas, I'm not going to drizzle those. I'm going to leave those undrizzled, so if anybody doesn't want the extra, they don't have to have it. It's nice to have the mix. And that's the great thing about doing this yourself. One, you get a lot more than what you'd pay for in the store, but you can mix it up however you'd like to and customize it to your desires and just make it delicious for those you love. And as you can see, it's kind of messy. That's why we lay down the parchment paper. Makes the cleanup a breeze. We've got our pink white chocolate melted, so we're going to repeat the process. It's a little less thin than the other, so I'm having to kind of shake the fork little quick jerks to help it to fling off. Otherwise it just glooped down. It's all melted. Let's repeat the process all over again for the last coat. And you don't have to do multiple colors. I wanted to. You can just do chocolates. You can do chocolate coating with the white. Anything jazzes it up. It's really a personal preference. The last thing we need to do on these is to just let them set and let the chocolates harden up. Once that's done, you can remove it to a dish for the fruit, especially to put into the refrigerator to keep it fresh for a couple of days while you're eating them. You can make these a day or two in advance of a party. That way it's a little bit more stress-free the day of. The marshmallows, the pretzels, and the energy balls we're going to put into Ziploc bags or plastic containers. Those can stay out and be just fine. Well, now that all of the icing has completely hardened up, it is time for the best part, in my opinion, and that is letting Mr. TBK taste the fruits of my labor. So, TBK, would you like to try one of your strawberries? I know they're your favorite.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do a strawberry and a grape because I've never had the grape before.
Cool. Such very well decorated. The fine little lines you got on there.
Thank you.
That's really good. What's really interesting though, is I swear it's strawberry chocolate on top of a strawberry.
That might be. It didn't say it was flavored, but it could be.
That's really interesting. I like it.
Good.
It's nice.
Happy Valentine's Day, sweetie. A little bit early, but still.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks for joining us in our kitchen again today. I hope you got inspired to make some yummy, delicious treats for your loved ones or for yourself for Valentine's Day, and I hope that you had a great time. From our house to yours, happy Valentine's Day.